All right, Spider friends, we are here on the superhero show. We are going to talk Hawkeye, and on top of us, wearing Spider inverted, like that's awesome. We got the shirt. Um, what's happening, my friend? Larry Legend is here.
Dude, it's been a great Marvel week, I'll tell you that. It's been a long time coming after having to, you know, put up with the Eternals. But they did us
Oh,
right. I think they did us right. I think they did us right.
the box
Uh,
office is showing the numbers. I can't believe it,
I
actually.
know. And when I went last night, the theater wasn't even full, but I think it's just, I mean, probably every movie theater is devoting 50% of their actual spaces to this movie. So that and the fact that tickets are now, you know,
If you're living on a rock somewhere, we're talking about Spider-Man: No Way Home because everybody's going to see it. I saw it Thursday night, which is like a kind of an early premiere day. Um, Larry just saw it like an hour ago.
yesterday. So,
Oh, yesterday.
but last night. But
Okay.
last night
Yes.
hasn't even been 24 hours. Still fresh in my mind. I was having
Okay.
Spider-Man dreams last night. It was awesome.
Woo! So, what's up to the Brick Babe? Thanks for following us, me anyway, from Corey's that comic show to this show, and we might see some other friends join us as usual. I won't spoil it, but we'll see what happens. We are going to talk Hawkeye first. So we did a little chatter for Spider-Man. We will talk about that later. And I just got done talking about it with Corey and friends. So I got to get into this Hawkeye rap because
It was, we can't forget that there was another great thing happening in Marvel this week, and that was Hawkeye. That was finally we get the big reveal. Hey Mel,
Iceberg checks in. Didn't watch
what's
Hawkeye.
up? Oh, dude. Well, you're on a spoiler
Rick
show. We're going
Babe,
to tell you
need to
all
get
about
caught
it.
up. I guess people it's spoiler shows. Sometimes you watch them and you just hear how good things are, and then you get caught up. I don't know,
Yeah.
but we're gonna watch. We're gonna discuss a prologue. So I discussed
Mm.
this, and I had the word. I knew it was kind of a prologue, right? So there's a beginning credit sequence before Hawkeye this week, which I don't think has been done before, but they do it in comics. They have epilogues at the end and
Mhm.
prologues at the beginning, telling a little side story that kind of leads into uh, what might be relevant to this episode. And Yelena and Romanoff have a voiceover as they go back to 2018, and this is I don't want to get into it right away, but right as the blip is going to happen. Oh, we can blip somebody in here. Blip.
There he is. Hey, man.
What's up? What's up?
What's up,
What's
Corey?
happening?
Good. So give me 2 seconds. I'm actually holding my son right now. He always falls asleep during these comic book conversations. I'm very disappointed in that. I was hoping he would be awake the entire time, but he gets bored. He's like, I'm not interested. So I will be back in 2 seconds. Let me bring
All
him
right.
downstairs and
You
come
need
back
to
on with
mute
you
or do
guys.
what you need to do.
All
Take
right.
care of that future superhero.
Absolutely. Be back in a minute.
So, yeah, we're going to start with the prologue anyway. I've got Yelena, and if you put the captions on, it's Sonya, another Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Going to another Black Widow apparently is Anna's mansion. And I mean, does 2018 put you in the right timeline, Larry?
Oh, yeah. When I was like, the date came up and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be important. So
Mel watched Spidey. All right, Mel, if you want to come in later, Mel, give us a half hour or so to talk about Hawkeye. And we're gonna get to almost. I mean, every time I see it, it just really pulls at my heartstrings and my feels. The dusting.
Yeah.
Every time, and they did it so unique for a prologue to a Disney Plus show. We see for the first time a snap and a reblip from that person's perspective. 5 years go by in 5 seconds in the bathroom of this mansion, and we see a makeover happen like pretty fast. I really like how that, like, we know what's happening, but she doesn't know what's happening. Well, I mean,
I loved that, because that was the first time you got to see the beginning to end. You know, we got to see Monica Rambeau come back in that same way, but and we got to see, you know, of course, we got to see all the people disappear. But even in Endgame, you know, we didn't get to see any of the heroes come back. They just start coming through the sling ring portals.
the portals, yeah,
And they're ready for battle. So we didn't get to see their, you know, hey, where am I? And
I mean, and they've in Hawkeye, for whatever reason, they did this with his family, right? You know, they flipped his family, and then the first person, you know, when the blip comes back is actually Laura's phone call to Hawkeye Clint,
yeah,
in Endgame. So for what, and he's got his name on that plaque, just like all the other Avengers. So but this is Yelena, and wow, it's all the feels. I loved it. So this is a prologue. Before, not much else to say about that conversation with Anna, other than she's just freaked out, and it lets us know that she got blipped, and it gives us you know, people that get blipped, you know, I don't know, both people that stay get, you know, Ronin, you know, Hawkeye went Ronin because he lost all these people, and then now here's Yelena that lost Natasha without even having a chance to,
right.
you know, help. Anyway, so we're right at the beginning, Corey. The prologue was explained, and then they give us a Marvel credit thing, and previously on Hawkeye. That's why it just threw me that we got a story, we got a movie scene, a proper movie scene with a blip and a snap, and then we get into the show. So we're at Eleanor's place, and Kate walks in. She's beat up. She's gingerly walking through with her archer's outfit on, and they have some discussions in the beginning of the Hawkeye episode. It's like a mother-daughter moment, and they eventually get to that moment where she knows that Jack is got criminal Sloan Limited ties. So what, I don't know, did this like scene like set up what happens later?
I felt like it was very staged.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole scene just seemed too easy for him to just be caught like that, and for him to just be like in a situation where he didn't even feel like he was in trouble. He was like, oh, you know, I've been framed. I'll be back in time for your thing. So I was just like, yeah, that's a cover. That's clearly a cover.
Yeah. So I was gonna jump to that moment where like he's getting handcuffed and they're in the apartment, and it's like too convenient. Like, so obviously Eleanor set him up, but she covered her tracks on the way, and he's probably, you know, they covered his tracks too. So I'm sure we'll see the swordsman somehow in the future, but I don't know if we'll see more of him in the finale. Any comments on that, Larry?
No, I agree with Corey. I think that whole thing was set up, and I'm really dying to see this connection between the swordsman and all that's going to play out with the Kingpin and Eleanor. I just, I'm dying to see because it was really heartfelt when Eleanor and Kate were talking in her bedroom, and you got this mother-daughter connection, and that I mean, I felt Eleanor being very genuine, yet she's got a big secret, secret, and so I'm just, these are the kind of things that define comic book characters. If Kate's going to get this huge betrayal from Eleanor or something like that, or if there's something else, there's another factor that we're going to find out in the one last episode. The Kingpin has something over her, or is she a bad guy? I mean, has she been living this lie in front of her daughter this whole time? I'm like, I wanted to find more of that plot line in this show, but we really didn't get much other than she calls the police on Jack, which again seemed pretty staged. I need answers.
That's good. Yep. We're setting the table here. We're talking about some appetizers right now. We'll get to the good stuff soon. Let's talk about another sideline story, another tangent, I guess. I mean, she's going to get her own show as Echo, but Kazi and Maya are also licking their wounds after that rooftops fight, and they're signing these things and having a conversation, which I really love that the show did with a disability like that, and they talk about some important things about about the Ronin, and then later in the show they have another conversation which is important when Maya fights Ronin, and Kazi was a sharpshooter, but they meet up later and she asks him about where he was when her father died, and he seems to be this number 2 guy to her father, but he wasn't there. So they're stitching the evidence of that he was the informant.
Yeah, can you guys provide any insight to Echo? I don't know I don't know a thing about her character in the comics.
Well, they're doing it a little different, but in the comics, she's an I mean, they showed the cufflink. She's like the adopted daughter of Kingpin.
Okay, is she a villain? I mean, is she?
I don't know enough.
I want to say she straddles the line.
Okay.
Of it, like she's in the shadow of Kingpin, but she's also trying to find herself, and while finding herself, she has a moral compass.
Oh, okay.
It's very
similar to Elektra.
Yeah,
she has a relationship with Daredevil. So they're tying in the Netflix Daredevil series even more as we get through the week, right, Corey?
Oh my gosh!
We'll talk about the Spider-Man appearance later, but we get official Kingpin by the end of the show.
I love that silhouette at the very end, the final tag of Hawkeye. You see his looming presence over the city. Oh man, that got me like, oh man, that gave me goosebumps.
Back.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. So we'll get to there. That gave me goosebumps too. I was like sticking around. I like jumping around while we can talk about it because there's some really good moments in between. But they're playing that Grinch song. And I'm like, this seems like an end credits, and there's going to be a mid credits. They're going to be mid credits because they've done it before on Loki, I think, where they showed a couple of teasers at the end of the last 2 episodes. So you're right. Yeah, they do the Shadow of the Kingpin, and the Grinch song, I think, is definitely Fisk.
Yeah, that was definitely a nice touch. I mean, just showing. And I like the fact that they showed the Kingpin on a little screen like that. I mean, granted, that's something that I don't typically like when you're introducing your characters. I want to see them in their life, in their form. But because of the fact that we've seen him from the Netflix series, so we have that reference point of him, of who his character is, his power, his strength, all that stuff. Seeing him like in that form is like, okay, yeah, it just brought me right back to, okay, he's been here the whole time.
I know Larry wants to talk about it more. So Larry, we see Vincent, the actor, on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end of the episode, we you know what, Larry, why don't you describe it for us?
You know, all the big man references. You know, I mean, it's kind of like, can you please just give us the reveal already? You're teasing us way too much. But big man used cars and big man auto repair and Hawkeye referring to him the big man all the time. He's coming, and I was just, is it gonna be Vincent? Because if you guys, y'all catch Daredevil?
Oh yeah.
I think Vincent his performance was outstanding. I think he nailed it. He nailed the Kingpin. So to have him come in, and that, after the whole Quicksilver thing, that man, I'm still not over that. The whole having them bring him in and confirm this is the same character. You don't need to wonder if Evan Peters is going to be an X-Men Quicksilver. It's Kingpin. It's Vincent. And we only get one episode. So that's the other thing that's killing me. I'm like, oh, how much do we get to see of him in his final episode? Is it going to be 2 minutes? Is it going to be 10 to 15 minutes of great acting? We'll find out, because it's the Avengers and Kingpin. There was not a lot of crossover. I mean, even though there's a lot of New York in those comics, Avengers were kind of the upper tier bad guys, and Kingpin's just a mortal guy, even though he's huge and big and strong and can fight, even though he's a big dude.
He's 2% body fat. He's 300 pounds.
Yeah,
it's insanity.
Yeah, this guy. I mean,
Dressed to kill.
All of the great the Kingpin Daredevil stories, I think, are as opposed to like Spider-Man. I really think that Daredevil is really the kind of that's his nemesis more than Spider-Man per se. But I'd love to see what we're going to see in this next episode. He's a great daddy.
So we're talking about Kingpin. We finally get that reveal. This was in the last scene where they're at Grill's apartment, and Pizza Dog is there, and Clint and Kate are just trying to figure out what their next move is, and Yelena texts from an unknown phone, I know who hired me, Eleanor, and then shows this picture of Eleanor and Kingpin together, and it's just going to be the stage of what we've been looking for this whole series. In which direction, I'm sure Kate Bishop is going to go with her character, and the betrayal of her mother. We didn't know until this very last scene. So we get Kingpin and Notorious Eleanor all at once. I want to set us up for a tie-in from that meal to another meal that will probably go down in fame, the Russian macaroni.
Oh.
I love the fact that she called her Kate Bishop a lot.
The entire time, yep.
And her accent is just so spot on and funny. So we're talking about Kate Bishop goes back to her apartment. It's in ashes, right? The firemen put out a fire, and Yelena surprises her. She gets a bottle. She throws a bottle at her, and she catches it. And we've all, I think, seen it. It's part of the trailers. Hello. Her accent is great. Would you like some macaroni? So we have dinner with the enemy, macaroni style.
Yeah.
what did you think, Corey? I don't want to like lead you guys in. I just kind of say open table.
You know, like just so I'm gonna go backwards just a little bit. So going back to Black Widow and just getting to know this character the entire time, and then getting to the end of that movie where, you know, her sister is dead, and now she sees who is the person thought to be responsible for her sister's death, which kind of fuels her hatred towards Clint. So just seeing her in the apartment and seeing them interact together, she still has a bond with women, you know, so she doesn't necessarily kill her or, you know, submit her to tell her where Clint is. She's sitting down eating with her, you know, she's showing her like, listen, I'm here to do a job, but I'm also not your enemy. So I don't want you to think like I hate you because I'm here to do this job, but you're still my sister, so to speak. So I still want to have that relationship with you. So I thought it was really good to kind of showcase that love, and even putting the hot sauce in the macaroni was insane for her to do. And I was even thinking like, you know what, maybe I should try that. Maybe it might be good.
Yeah, hot sauce and macaroni is good.
Yeah, let me try that. You know, but I really, really like that. And even at the last part where she's leaving, she's like, and by the way, Kate Bishop, don't ever get in my way.
Yes, you nailed it.
Yeah, I love
Girls' Night. So hey,
Girls' Night.
Talk about Girls' Night, Larry. They have, you know, just some nice points about visiting New York and the new and improved Statue of Liberty.
Yeah. So this is Christmas time. No Way Home occurs like right after Halloween-ish. So I'm guessing that that damage has not been done to the statue during the Hawkeye. Or wait, no, I take that the other way.
Spidey hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So you don't think Spidey has happened yet? I think it has happened, because if Hawkeye is Christmas and No Way Home is, I mean, even if it's Thanksgiving, I mean, and we're talking, you know, Hawkeye is like, we're probably on December 23rd. Because he's, you know, still trying to get home for Christmas.
Right.
Maybe they fixed, maybe the shield, you know, the shield comes down, not, you know, this is a spoiler show. Might be some Spider-Man spoilers.
Yep.
But we've seen it in the trailer.
You've seen it in the trailer. Yeah, you see it in the trailer.
The shield comes down. Maybe they fixed that. We don't know. But, you know, the statue is also now, you know, polished in copper again. So maybe that's the remodel thing she's talking about. But that whole scene, that whole dialogue was an interrogation. Yelena was interrogating her in the way that two things came to mind. Two of the best interrogations on film. Inglourious Bastards. If you saw that with Christoph Waltz, the Oscar-winning performance where he's interviewing the guy in the farmhouse, where there's this whole setting him at ease thing, but he's also reassuring him who he is. I'm the wolf. You know, I'm the one that is hunting. And Yelena does the same thing. She says, you know, make no bones about it. If I wanted to kill you, and Kate Bishop says, yeah, I know, I'd already be dead. Absolutely true. You know, and when she says, I don't have any weapons on me. Well, that's not true. I don't have any weapons in my hand. Well, that's not true. It's like, her hands are empty. What are you talking about? I mean, she's got her widow blaster things on, but you're like, okay, yeah, Yelena's a badass. But she's interrogating Kate to get the information, being her buddy. And to me, it kind of, it was just like Black Widow in Avengers. You know, in the very opening scene with her, when she's interrogating the Russians, and she's like, I've got him right where I want him, and she's still tied to the chair and all that. You know, those are the two interrogation scenes that came to mind as I'm watching that, after I realized, okay, she is here to get information. And I hope that the information she got from Kate, even though they kind of went back and forth and argued about whether or not Clint was good or bad, because Yelena's like, no, he's murdered all these people. And she's like, no, you don't know him. He's a good person. I hope by the
sister
end of the next
Natasha
episode,
saved the world.
we know we can see Elena go, you're right. He he's done what he's had to do because he's a weapon like I am. I'm a Black Widow. I know what I've done and what Nat has done, but we consider ourselves good people too.
So yeah, there's a lot of the hero word and the Avenger word. What's up with that Avenger word? That just gives you an excuse. And I think we're getting hints of that with damage control and they're the collateral damage. It's not the best. It's not all roses.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate that, those thoughts. Yeah, that assignment to go kill Clint Barton was clear and present to Kate. And she got points though. She saved the dog, so I like that they're having that moment too. There's these not really anti-heroes, kind of, yeah. It's just really on an assignment. That was great. So meanwhile, Clint is at Grill's place. While that was happening, he's licking his wounds and going to stay on the couch with Grills and Pizza Dog. And we don't get the outfit, but a teaser saying, by the way, Missy, she made the outfits. You want to see the new outfits? And he's like, later, man. So we get a teaser that we are going to see some new Hawkeye outfits in the finale. I can't wait. You guys, Corey, I know me and Larry have been talking about the LARPers and whatnot. How did you like the LARPer angle in this storyline?
I mean, at first I didn't really care for it. I was like, man, can we just like kind of get to where we need to get to the information? But when I watched that part again and I was looking at it, I was like, okay, I see the comedy in it, where these guys are dressed up, they're play fighting, and here you have a real Avenger, a real fighter, a real person that has saved the universe, has to now dumb down his level so that he can get the information that he needs. I was like, man, I get it. And that was like kind of the symbolism of the story of Hawkeye. Like, yes, he's an Avenger. Yes, he's this, he's part of this team with gods and superhumans and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he's just a man. And he even says that in Age of Ultron, like, I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense. But I'm going back out there to fight these robots. At the end of the day, I got to do my job. So that was the whole thing with Hawkeye. So seeing that scene is like, at the end of the day, he's really a guy just in a costume, like play fighting, but he's really fighting these real threats. So I like the symbolism in that scene.
That's a good transition, because the next scene is basically Clint visiting that plaque where they pay tribute to the Avengers first assembling and the Battle of New York. And they have Steve Rogers, they have Tony Stark, they have Thor Odinson. I guess you got to give him a last name somehow. Bruce Banner, Natasha Romanoff, and Clint Barton. He takes his hearing aid out, and I love how they use these, human moments. And he takes his hearing aid out to have more of a personal conversation with Natasha that's gone, saying, I miss you, but there's a caveat there. And I'm so sorry for what I'm about to do. So we'll get to that in a moment. Basically, it's the face off with Ronin and Maya. I guess we could jump to there. The Trust a Bro guys had a funny little message delivered to them while they're talking about Run DMC and the Royal Tenenbaums.
I love that.
About their jumpsuits, and Ronin delivers a message for Maya to meet me where we first met at the Fat Man auto sale. So pretty much next is that fight. Let's jump right to this final fight scene kind of. What did you think, Larry? Look, the Ronin, comes in stealth.
Oh yeah, and he takes out all the tracksuits just in that unseen, invisible. He's pulling them under the cars, and they just disappearing right next to each other. It was a little, I don't know. I mean, that's what a ninja would do. So that was really cool. To me, he was changing his persona just a little bit. He's not Hawkeye. He's Ronin in this scene. He's doing these ninja moves, taking out all of the thugs before the main battle. And it was a good one. It was a good one. Every time I thought it was so cool anytime he'd bring his sword down and she'd put her leg up and it would go ping against her leg, and she's using that as a defensive weapon. I'm like, she's a badass. Mm-hmm. And Clint's no slouch. I mean, he was. I loved in Avengers when he and Nat were fighting. I mean, they were blow to blow. They were right at each other, and they're both really good. You kind of take it for granted that Hawkeye, he's a good fighter. I mean, he's a really good fighter. He's a well-trained assassin, just like the Black Widows are. But she held her own.
Props to the stunt people too. There were some realistic moves happening there. I like it when you like have a superhero movie, but really have some athletic stunts that are the stunt people are doing great.
Right.
Like I would even add this as well. Like this is 2023 in their movie universe, and Hawkeye was not blipped, so he lived the entire time during that time. So he's been fighting. He's been doing this Ronin thing for 5 years after the events of Infinity War, and even then, even though he was relegated to his family and he was away from everything, like he's been fighting a long time. So for him to still be able to gear up and still give these relatively young fighters a run for their money, man, I love the story that they're telling with that.
Nice, yes, that's right. She's like the next generation. This Echo. I hope. I'm high hopes that they're gonna weave in this Hell's Kitchen street level fighting, and who knows who they'll have to bring back certain people, but what else, Corey? I was thinking that they staged this fight. He's facing off with Maya, Ronin, and Maya shows this, takes the mask off. The whole reason he challenged her was to let her know, I am the Ronin, and if you ever cross me or my family, that'll be the end of you. Do you think that? I mean, I thought that was the battle. For me, it was like, wait, you're gonna stop there? I thought this was it.
I especially like even stopping there is such a Clint Barton thing to do. Again, he's lived such a wild life. Like he could have made that decision when he met Natasha Romanoff, but he didn't. So you can almost assume that a conversation had to have happened before he was supposed to kill her, and he decided not to make that decision. The same thing happens with him and oh man, the name escapes me. Scarlet Witch, right? So he has that conversation with her in the bunker, in that house and everything like that. So he has those conversations with in this case with different females to kind of give them that, let them know like, hey, this is what it is, this is where we are, and this is how we go forward. So when he's doing this with Echo, to me it's his same MO, where he's like, listen, I could end you at any time, but just understand I've been through a lot, I've done a lot, and this is where we are right now. And even him talking and then doing some sign language at the same time with her, even now and again, that kind of brought him down to her level for her to see like, okay, well, she has a different perspective now of who the Ronin is, because now you see a face to the person. So I thought it was brilliantly done with the two actors.
I want to take a moment to say hi to the chat. We have some people checking in. Chef T, thanks for being here, saying hi to each other. Doc Sampson's here. Dude Jude is here. Thanks, guys, for checking in. Brick Babe still watching. Thanks for checking in from one show to the other. Crossing the streams. We're going to do some Spidey chat. We had a Spider-Man chat on Corey's channel, That Comic Show, and we'll continue the conversation. And we'll get to the end of Hawkeye here in a moment. Get the Brick is here. What's up, Get the Brick? And I'm sure I'm missing somebody from the beginning, but Iceberg checked in. Maybe Iceberg, if you want to talk Spidey, man, get in here. We're about to talk some No Way Home. All right. So I like how they leave that fight. They go their separate ways. We kind of already talked about, Clint says there's an informant, and then Kazi meets up with Maya, and he's kind of faking it with her. And we're going to see more of that in the Echo show, I'm pretty sure. I don't think they're going to end that. They're saving that for the spinoff, which is great. And Kate comes in, does one arrow to kind of stop a blow that Maya was going to make, I believe, and then they go their separate ways. And he's like, "How are we getting out of here?" And an Uber pulls up.
That was so funny.
The comic, the relief is just so timely. So I love it. We get the Uber escape from the superheroes. Then that's where Kate mentions that she spoke with Yelena, and that's when Clint finds out that the Black Widow that was hired to kill them on that rooftop was Natasha's sister. So we went back and forth on a little bit of that and the timeliness of when the stinger hit him. But there's another touching moment before we get to the very, very end. I guess we're almost done. Where they get out of the Uber, I guess, and they walk down the street, and Clint gives Kate an arrow. And there's nothing said, and they're walking back away from the camera. It's almost like the show was over, and here they're passing the torch, right? It was a passing the torch moment and it was just a nice moment, I think, to have. Maybe they had that queued up and they edited it in at a weird point where it could have been the very, very end. But I like it. I like that we got that passing of the torch through an arrow, although the show's not over.
Well, and to me, that was kind of like he's going, because at the end of the last episode, he said, "You're done. You're out. Stop." That was it. And then you open up in the next scene, and she's he was
taking the bow. He took the bow away from her. I think.
And so she the opening scene, she's not really pouting, but she's obviously distraught because this was her dream to be a hero, and to her it's over. And to me, he's saying, "Okay, let's go do this job. You're back in it. You're my partner." Is kind of how I read it.
I saw little similarities as well to to Spider-Man Homecoming. So when Spider-Man messes up on the ferry and Iron Man says, it's not going to cut out. You're not going to cut out for this because you're not doing this right. That's it. You're done. And he takes back his art, his suit and everything like that. And how Peter was distraught. He was broken. He was like, I got canned from the internship and stuff like that. And then even then, at the end, he welcomed it back with open arms. So I kind of like that symmetry that they kind of had in this movie, in this show, because I saw the same thing. I was like, oh man, this is how all these young superheroes kind of get their coming into their form of a hero. Like they have to be stripped of their title before earning it again. So I like.
Yeah.
I like
they have to get their humility badge.
Yes,
Boy Scout
exactly.
badge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Show that you're doing this for the right reasons, and didn't interfere too soon either, right? Wow, that's about it. That's a good point, I think, to leave the discussion, unless you guys have any theories. I don't like what this next episode has got to be. I mean, so the only other scene we didn't talk about, and it was another great Florence Pugh pew pew moment. She's dressed in disguise with her little New York outfit, following Eleanor. And man, I had chills because I've built this building, and I call it the Fisk Tower out of Lego. I have my Fisk Tower already built for scenes like this, to show the Kingpin's up there and he's meeting with Eleanor, and Yelena's following her, and that's how the reveal through the phone gets notified to Kate Bishop.
I feel as though this next episode, you're going to see a little bit of what happened in Spider-Man, kind of sprinkled a little bit throughout this. Because, like, I don't know what it is, but this last episode, and then Spider-Man, they kind of brought in those street level, stories into the into full screen. So I feel as though that we might see Matt Murdock in this last episode, even if
that would be cool.
Even if it's a small role, like maybe he's like a lawyer or of doing some type of case, or in the full, Daredevil. I don't think we'll get to the Daredevil, but I think we still might get a reference to him in the movie.
I'd be okay with even like a newspaper, like Murdoch
exactly.
Associates, help. I don't know, or because we have the lawyer angle too, so I don't know that we need to see. Well, we could see that, and then the other cool name drops would be, a Devil in Red, or anything to do with Hell's Kitchen. If they just name drop Hell's Kitchen, that's the hood.
So for the last episode, we're gonna see Kingpin. We'll probably see Val. You think we'll see Val?
I feel as though we do. We need to see her.
We're gonna get a reveal for Eleanor. And we may or may not see Jack again. We may or may not see Echo again, because they exit stage right, and that could be fine, because Echo's got her show, and there might just be some information about Jack, or he could come back in a big way, and all of a sudden you've got Madame Mask. If Eleanor is Madame Mask, you've got Kingpin, you've got Swordsman, and they're all together in this little triad. But then you've got Val and Elena, and that in Val's team, and then what's their involvement, and why are they? Why would Val be connected with Kingpin? Because even though the Thunderbolts or the New Avengers or the
Dark Avengers,
are they really on the bad side though? Because Kingpin is a bad guy. Make no mistake, he's a gangster. So, is Val's team playing both sides? Is she sleeping with the enemy? What are we going to see? But again, if we don't see Echo, I really won't be surprised if we don't see Echo. But Jack is still a mystery.
Jack, I think, so I'm glad you brought up Val. I think that's a point that we should have mentioned. And you did that to a point. Thanks to trailers, we kind of know the setting. So, we're leading up to Christmas party, and the tree at Rockefeller Center or similar area. And we'll hopefully see the new suits and other, tuxedo types of, they go to this Christmas party for some reason to confront Eleanor, I guess. And maybe Jack comes in and they think he's in jail, but he's in his swordsman suit or something. That would be great, I think.
Yeah. So the battle at 30 Rock at Rockefeller Center.
The battle at 30 Rock.
Who's on what side? Is Hawkeye and Kate, are they alone together fighting? Is Yelena going to join them? I think there's a strong possibility that Yelena is going to she's going to determine that there's something not so legit about Val. Yeah. And realize, well, okay, Hawkeye's like my sister. He is a good guy after all. I hope. I really hope. And I hope we see a lot of Yelena because I love her.
I feel as though we might get that direction with Yelena because she does seem like the type to really give people that second chance in a sense. So I feel as though that we might get that at the end. I also feel as though that we might see U.S. Agent make an appearance as well, along with Val. And I think that where they're going to leave this series is going to be left on a cliffhanger. Because I don't feel like nothing can get resolved in this last episode at all. So I feel as though that's where we're going to leave everything kind of where it is right now. I think we're going to finally get maybe even the first saying of like, we may need to consult with Thunderbolt or something to that effect. I feel like we're going to get that little murmur and then leave us there until the next series. Yeah.
Larry's friend, the comic consultant, checked in. Hey, Mike.
Yo.
Boy, I don't think it's Clint versus Yelena. I think it's Clint versus Jack. And I think it's Kate and Eleanor for sure. I think the Yelena's like this thread, like this phase 4 thread that Larry mentioned about Dark Avengers. And I think we maybe have seen the last of her for this show. I don't know that, but boy, we can't leave the big guy out of it. If we don't see Jack, then it's got to be Vincent playing the Kingpin and throwing this party or at least being a guest at the VIP to this party and making some moves with his connections or security.
I can't see Kingpin in the fight per se, but I can't see him as
I was thinking that very thought. I'm like, he's not going to get his hands dirty in this.
He would just snap his fingers and point somebody over there.
Right? He's going to send. I mean, there's going to be this big old battle royale with all the tracksuits, and they're going to get wiped. They're going to be blood on the ice. They're going to be out, and then we're going to see the main fighters. And it may not be a traditional fight, but I hope it's a longer show. I hope it's more than the 30, 40 minutes. I hope we get an extended. Episode
5 is like, as soon as they show Kingpin, I was like, oh yes, and then I was like credits. I was like, wait, what? Like, what happened to the rest of the episode?
No, a lot happened though. I
man.
Love these guys in the chat. Get the Brick, giving a Clint cliffhanger kind of feel to it. That may happen. Doc's keeping it real. The only reveal is that the mom works for Kingpin. We kind of already got that one, but get that some more. And get the Brick again. Laura, we didn't mention her name.
Right.
She has some ties to Hawkeye and S.H.I.E.L.D. that are very loose or secret. We know the Watch was a big part of this episode in that black market auction, and it ties Laura and Clint together to Avengers. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Clint, Hart, Laura with an arrow through it. But what do you know, Larry or Corey? Do you know, do you have any theories about Laura's past?
She was speaking some German, so that kind of.
She traced the watch, she was tracing the watch. She was speaking. That was the last episode.
Yeah.
During this one, she has so Clint calls Laura and they have the need to talk moment. And Maya has the watch. She's looked into our family, you know, hired a Black Widow. So Laura says words like this. You know, she lets Clint, you know, you do what you need to do. And I understand this more than anybody, meaning killing might be the answer.
Right. I'm saying Laura is at the very least a former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
And probably like a special agent. I mean, she's probably up there. I don't think, you know, retconning her into Mockingbird. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think she's going to be revealed to be Mockingbird. But definitely an agent. She was definitely a special agent.
I would say they would do something to the tune of making her code name Mockingbird.
Could be,
but not the comic book version of Mockingbird. I could see them kind of giving that nod to that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think it needs to be an equivalent of Mockingbird, not the same code name.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
So, all right, guys.
Give her a couple of batons, see what she does with them. That'll be the true reveal.
That's going to wrap. I love it because I think that angle is maybe, because they didn't touch on it too much, a big part of what the finale might include. The shocker moment. Maybe Laura comes in.
So the most important thing, though, of episode 6, we want to see, and we'll go around the horn. Tell me what you guys think. Will Clint make it home for Christmas?
Oh,
you know, the way that they've been setting up Clint the entire time, ever since Age of Ultron, like they're making him like the heart of the team. He's like where his farm is the heart of the team.
Yep, and Laura says the very thing.
Yeah, so I feel as though he's gonna make it just in time. It's gonna be just like Home Alone, where you know the parents are gonna get home in time. Is Kevin gonna see his parents, and they get in right in the morning, Christmas morning. That's when he's walking in.
He walks in the door. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh my gosh! Get the break.
Get the break. Come on, man. It's a family show, man. You gotta have a good time.
Wow.
No. He's got to make it home he's a hero. The heroes make it home for Christmas.
They pass the torch. Yeah, it's a family. It's gonna be. It can't be that bad. So I will just leave it at that. Yeah. Oh, Berg, you're still here. What are you saying? The Dookie Award. What? Oh my gosh. So that wraps our discussion on Hawkeye. I appreciate you guys checking in. Normally we just take off, but I want to talk Spider-Man. We can continue the conversation, Corey, and I think we missed some moments. Maybe we can highlight if you want to help us run through any.
Absolutely.
We did pros and cons on your show, and anybody in the chat, all you guys watching, we're going to shift gears. So if you have not seen No Way Home, Spider-Man, spoiler alert, gotta say it 3 times. Because we're going to spoil it. You know,
this is the spoiler show. It's a show, not spoiling.
Well, Larry, you have to start us off because you haven't gotten the chance to say anything yet. What are your first impressions? What do you need to get off your chest about No Way Home?
Ooh. I think the thing that stuck with me, it was such the heartbreaking moment, the death of Aunt May. I came home thinking that needed to happen.
Yeah,
that had to happen because Tom Holland Spider-Man didn't have that factor of Spider-Man. You know, we know that his Uncle Ben died, but we don't know if it was a tragic thing. We don't know if it was something like with the other Peters, a defining part of his character. And so when she died, I'm kind of like, Yeah, that really sucks, but we had to have that happen.
Mhm.
I think that was my biggest takeaway from that because it kind of put him in the same club as the other two Peters. I only assumed that in the MCU, Uncle Ben died when he was little, way before he was Spider-Man, and it was just a tragic family loss. But it wasn't something that Peter could have prevented, which is it's the cornerstone of his character. I mean, he's not Spider-Man without that part of his backstory. So that was the biggest thing I took out of it. And then all the other cool stuff like Charlie Cox.
Nice.
How did you do that?
Yeah, I'm
Well,
glad
I'm a
you
great
started
lawyer.
there because
That doesn't explain how you caught that brick.
I mean that is the spoiler, right? Like that no spoilers, to everybody, posting stuff, and luckily there's not really a good Marissa Tomei Aunt May a minifigure out there that people could spoil it in Lego form that I know of. But the biggest spoiler, I think, because we all knew we were going to get more Spider-Man. We all knew we were getting all these villains. We were getting multiverse. How they were going to do that was interesting to me, though. They really nailed it. Kind of not catching me off guard because we knew multiverse was coming, but how it happened. And even that was a little bit spoiled in the trailer. So maybe let's backtrack and go to the Sanctum. So we get the winterized Sanctum, and Sweatpants Doctor Strange comes down, and he seems a little off, but we get a little bit of an explanation that he got blipped and Wong is the Sorcerer Supreme.
Right? That was like, what?
Makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
So
well, even that winterized version of the Sanctorum, I just hearing a whole bunch of people online was just speculating, like, is Doctor Strange sick? Is there a reason for this? And then the reasoning was, a blizzard took place and one of the things was open.
They left the door open.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's it. All right, cool. So it's just a little things that, we make such a big deal of, speculated, and then it's come to find out something little. So
right.
It was funny.
I know. Okay, Mike.
We'll get to the
say more words, Mike.
Yeah, we'll get to some more juicy stuff. And if you want to talk Spider-Man in the chat, give us your favorite moment or subject, and we'll try to touch on it. So I talked about the Sanctum, and they do this spell. Peter comes in. I mean, he goes there with Mary MJ and Ned, and they're geeking out over certain things. Or is that later? He's there alone, right? When he does the first Jinx.
The first time he comes in, he's alone. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, I only saw the movie once, and I have 0 notes. So, so he's there alone, and he's like, the whole reason he's there is to make people forget that he's that Spider-Man is Peter Parker, and we really need to play this up, right? The whole movie, other than the great power, great responsibility, morality angle, is the magic part that everyone in all universes, I guess, because this guy's that strong, is going to forget who Peter Parker is, and the spell goes wrong. And that, because of that, people that know Peter Parker in other universes are coming to our universe. And that's an amazing concept right there, right?
Yeah. I had a couple of thoughts during this entire part. So first off, Doctor Strange is, he had to learn how to be a sorcerer and everything like that. 5 years blipped, and now he's back in that saddle. For him to try to do a spell that even Wong told him to not do, because we don't know enough about this area. We don't know enough about what can happen. For him to just kind of do that for Peter, I was like, that doesn't seem like a Doctor Strange type of move. Especially, a couple years earlier, he was willing to let Peter die, in order to save the universe. So why would he jeopardize the universe by trying to just help this kid out? But then he even says it in the movie, like he's been through enough, so, why not do this to just get him through this so that he could just live a normal life? So, I thought it was like, man, it was like, I had to go along with it because it was like, all right, this is how we're going to get to this part of the story. But I was just like, it doesn't seem like something that Doctor Strange would have done.
It's really interesting. I've never tried to write a screenplay or anything, right? So to see the movie cards of how they develop this plot, great. I mean, it's all over the place, but it's not divisive, right? Like I hate it when it's divisive, that they throw something in there, and that's why he went to do this, right? The reason he went to the other part of why he did this was he didn't get into MIT, and neither did his friends, because they know him,
right?
And he's causing his friends grief because of this information. And so let's get into a little discussion there. Peter tracks down the MIT professor or recruiter to the bridge. So we get a good bridge fight scene. And I don't know that you can have a Spider-Man movie without a cool New York bridge fight
bridge,
scene.
right?
Yeah, you need that. That's like on the checklist.
Yeah, check. That's why I'm like, almost perfect movie, because
we're gonna need a UCS Spider-Man bridge set from Lego now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I got one of those sets, and I got one on. Oh man, we can weave Lego into this because we're all AFOLs. Everybody tuning in. What Spidey mocks are going to come from this? Oh my gosh. Yeah, definitely the bridge battle, right? You got to have Doc Ock there, and Green Goblin.
They got a polybag they introduced, leaked polybag of I don't know if it's it's on multiple places, so I'm assuming it's real. Of him at the at Far From Home with the drones, so the London Bridge. So we got that's coming out. So who knows? I mean, you need a big bridge like set. You need that.
Yeah.
I love the sets, but I'm all about doing mocks these days. So it's like, how can I do a mock first? And you don't want to say too much on live streams, right? But let's see here. So Larry, you want to give us some favorite moments of the bridge battle?
Oh gosh. It was a big surprise to me that Doc Ock was basically incapacitated right away. All the trailers is just all Doc Ock. And then, and they talk a lot about, okay, now he's got the nanotech in his tentacles, and what is that going to mean? Well, apparently nothing, because now, Peter can control him. So Peter eliminates that threat right away when you think that storyline from the trailers is going to take off to Doc Ock being this baddie. Well, nope.
Yeah.
So, that threat was nullified pretty quick.
He locks him out of his own arms. I like that they joked about when his Iron Spider tentacles kind of came out. We had tentacles versus tentacles.
Yeah,
that was kind of cool. We have the classic, cars falling off of bridges and saving the family, and then the MIT. And the reveal, that was the big moment, right? As the nanotech goes across. But they stop Doc Ock this way and take him back, I believe, to the sanctum or the dungeon of a wizard, I guess we call it, right?
Yes.
Or also known as the laundry room.
The laundry room. so epic. It seems so epic, but it is like real small scale. So I just love that about him.
And let's see. So they have these, prisons to hold Doc Ock. And what do you remember next, Corey? Because for me, I've only seen it once, but we get a little Sandman, we get a little wizard. What's lizard? What do you remember next?
From that scene when they bring Doc Ock there, and I think once they bring Doc Ock there, that's when the kids are pretty much talking with Strange, and then that's when Lizard is there also. But Doctor Strange is banged up because of his encounter with the Lizard.
Right. So now you have a little bit of like exposition. Oh yeah, by the way, I caught this dinosaur guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was already there.
Yeah, he was already there. So it was now about kind of tracking down the others who came through the portal when the portal was temporarily open.
We got to Scooby-Doo the crap.
Yes,
right.
I was just gonna say that.
Or they used the S word. I was weird when they switch words like that, and they swear in the movie, but in the trailer they put in an easier word.
Yeah,
exactly. So we knew that was coming up, and they Scooby-Doo the crap out of some villains next, including, the Goblin is the big guy they have to go after.
Yeah,
and we see that scene of him in an alley. Kind of reminds me when Peter Parker quit being Spider-Man. He leaves his mask broken in this alley, and I believe it was genuine. He is a split personality.
Yeah,
and he somehow turned the switch by breaking the mask, and was on a legitimately like wandering around. Well, I don't know what world this is. Somebody help me, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it makes sense because like going back to the original movies, and you could kind of pinpoint the time that they were taken from the movie. For him, it looks like the time that he was taken from the movie is that breaking point when his mental state is so fractured between the Goblin and then himself, like battling, in the mirror. Because like William Dafoe is such a great actor. Like he's literally like in that movie, he's literally battling himself in the mirror. Like, no, we can't do that. Yes, we can. All that stuff, even changing the tone in his voice, and seeing that same battle going on in the alleyway, essentially in a reflection of I think he was looking at the dumpster, or he was either looking at a puddle, but he was looking at a reflection of himself. And then he was still having that battle, and then the mask was talking to him, and then he had to destroy the mask in order to kind of free himself from that hold. But we find out later on, it wasn't really a breakthrough. It was more like, all right, well, I'm just gonna kind of sit back and watch what's going on, and then make my move. So I really love
do you
that.
think, like, I was thinking it's still pretty genuine, and then there was like he snapped, and then
I think Goblin was in control the entire time.
Okay, I want to watch it again. We have to watch. Like, I don't know how many times you guys have. How many times have you watched a movie repetitively? Have you gone back to see Avengers 2-3 times, or?
I think the most for me is like 3 times, and I don't know which movie it was.
Same, 3 times. I need like at least 3 times to really get it. So yeah, 3 times for me.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, so this one I gotta see it again. Go ahead.
Right back.
Take a break. Doc is in the chat throwing some.
He's throwing. He's so contentious.
Iron Man, Stark Tech, saving the day. Appreciate
that's
you being
part
here,
of Spider-Man's thing, though, man. He's always beating himself up. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Brickman Mosaic Art's here now. Where do we go next, Larry?
Okay, so they get sent off to go track down, and so then we see there's like a bit of a montage about his crisis, and he gets the paint thrown on his suit, so he has to wear his suit inside out.
Right.
We thought he was getting this new suit, but
this new
it's
suit.
just inside out.
Oh man, what am I got?
And then because you get some up closeness of the, he's duct taped his camera and the wires sticking out. And
all right, okay, so we get Electro. That's where we get Electro and Sandman. So he's swinging around with the suit inside out, and he's got his FaceTime going on his phone. And he's swinging across, and Electro and Sandman, mostly Electro, right? comes out of the thin air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of him materializing in
Dr. Manhattan.
the new universe.
And I like that at least for the first time, because he does it with the uniform later, but he's like, is anybody going to just ignore the fact that I'm buck naked here, you know?
Sandman's like, yeah, so am I. So what?
That was classic. That was like, you know, like bringing some realism to these superhero movies. It's like,
Yes.
you're going to be pure energy and then just materialize. I don't think you're going to have anything on you. Like when the Hulk transforms and shreds his clothes, you know, he's not going to have much to wear when he goes back to his smaller form.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Like even that scene right there, it was kind of like, you know, a lot of things, like what they did, your suspension of disbelief is what they call it, where you just have to kind of just, okay, yeah, like he materializes and he has like a full black suit on and everything like that from like the Amazing Spider-Man movie. And it's just like, okay, well, we just got to go with it. He can't just be butt naked. But I like the fact that they already said like, yeah, acknowledge the fact that I'm butt naked and everything like that. Like I thought that was really good.
Yeah. What do you remember about Sandman? Sandman just kind of pops in too, and he kind of helps you know, Spider-Man fight off Electro.
Yeah.
And
because like I guess like and again, it's all about the point in time that they pulled these people from. Like the last time we saw Sandman, he came to terms with, you know, what took place. You know, he was the one who killed Uncle Ben. And at the end of the day, he just wants to see his daughter. And him and Spider-Man make amends on that rooftop. And then he kind of just fades away and stuff like that. So even if they pulled him from that moment right there, he's still in that, you know, oh, he sees a Spider-Man. Oh, okay, I'm gonna help you out because you know, we've already made amends and everything like that. I have no reason not to trust you, you know, until he realized that that's not the same Spider-Man that's from his universe, and now he's skeptical. So I love the reveal of Sandman, and even the way the two of them kind of connect at Happy's place. You know, they both have similar stories as to how they got their powers and stuff like that. You know, he said, "Oh, I fell into a thing of eels," and you're like, "Oh, I fell into a collider thing." Right. So he was like, "You gotta be careful where you fall." I was great. I was like, that banter right there was just so cool to see.
There was so much of that great like meta humor, you know, like with Toby's wrist shooters. I was like, oh, I'm so glad that they're really going into this and explaining it.
Let's get into the big three of this conversation, because I believe at the same time or right about now is when Ned just figures out that he's a wizard and puts the sling ring on and shakes his hand around and makes a portal. Where's Peter? Where's Peter? Oh my gosh, there he is. And we get from my perspective, the only weird divisive con that I told about on Corey's show is that Ned is a wizard.
That's the spot on exact word you should use for that. That is definitely divisive. I don't know.
It took a brain surgeon months to figure out how to do that.
You know what?
It's not like he's got the force. It's not like he's strong with the force. Yeah.
You know what it brings me back to? So I guess like the sidekick in these Marvel movies always picks up very quickly on how to use certain things. So Rhodey just jumps into an Iron Man suit in Iron Man 2, and already he's fighting Iron Man toe to toe after it took Tony Stark like essentially weeks and months to learn how to use his equipment. Now you go to like something as recent as Shang-Chi, you know,
that was
she learns how to use a bow and arrow, and pinnacle in the entire battle.
Character,
you know, it
makes
like,
the 1 in a million shot. Yeah,
right. So
it's the day.
For me, it was like, I get that, but it was like that's kind of Marvel's MO when it comes to like the sidekicks. Like they're able to just kind of pick up on things a lot quicker than the star person of the movie. So I can see that being very divisive, but I was like, yeah, why not? like of course they'll be able to use the sling ring and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think. I mean, the way that they kind of explained it in Doctor Strange, how Doctor Strange learned how to use it, it was like basically, you know, you hold it up, you think of your thought, and you whatever you think of or the place you think of kind of appears. Yeah. So it doesn't seem like it's something that needs to be really trained and used and learned. In a sense, I think the sling ring is what is the power source.
It's more intuitive, so that's fine. All right, well, let's get into the appearance of Andrew Garfield. We get him jump into the room with they're at Ned's house, and you know, it's just kind of a joke, but it's not too bad. You know, like prove it. Prove your Spider-Man. Yeah, I like it. He's like been around the block, you know. Okay, here's me sticking to the ceiling, and that's good enough.
You're like, can you get the cobwebs for the
cobwebs? That was a funny moment. Like, you got to do it, right?
Yeah, you got to do it.
We didn't mention the let's see. So and then he does it again, right? So Peter, you know, let's get Peter here, and they pull Tobey Maguire into the multiverse of the MCU, and we have a trio now of not something that's never been done before. You know, putting reboots in the same universe, if you will, and it's amazing, right? Yeah. They joked about the webbing coming out of Toby's butt or wherever. They have, what do you call it? You know, kind of the you know, let's cure the villains montage. You know, let's whip up some, let's science the crap out of these guys. And
before we move too far ahead, I really enjoyed the two Peters, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, meeting in the living room, and the two of them kind of sizing each other up in a sense. Like they both do the same similar moves. They do the webbing and stuff like that to like kind of feel each other out. Just that very brief moment. I don't know. I got a kick out of that because it's like, you know, you're both the old Spider-Mans, but it's fun to see them kind of interacting with each other like that. So I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought they did a good job. Their acting was pretty good. I don't know like that. I don't know that they like. I don't know if they were like truly acting as Peter Parker or acting as Andrew Garfield.
Gotcha.
Like, because when he was a skater punk and his whole, you know, he had some nervous tics to him, and maybe, you know, maybe it just shows his age that they wrote some of that out. So maybe it wasn't their fault as actors, but it was great to see them. They did an okay job, I'll say, as Peter Parker, and it was great to see the Spider-Man all together in the end. So, what do you know, Larry? I know from here they basically have all these villains in the dungeon again,
right?
And
well, and then that's when we have the big conflict between Doctor Strange and Peter about what we're going to do next, and how. Because Peter has a conversation with Aunt May at the shelter when Willem Dafoe was there, and then he decides to go against the good doctor's recommendation, and then you get into this whole great scene with the.
Let's mention the box.
Okay, the box. We got the spell in the box.
We got to talk about the box, right? So the doc whips up a box with the botched spell in it.
Yep.
And he's going to somehow make this device contain or erase the botched spell, which let the cracks of the multi-universe open up. Something like that.
Yeah.
And then they have this challenge of whether we should push the button, the big red button.
Right.
And we got that scene that, and it seems like everyone catches a little bit more or less when I was on Corey's show, but when they push Peter out of his Spidey form, his what do you call
Spidey
it?
sense.
His Spidey sense, his subconscious Spidey sense controls
Astral
his body.
form.
That was so cool.
What were you saying on the show? His astral form had
his
had
astral. Yeah, his
Yeah, he had
actual
Spidey
his
sense.
astral
Yeah.
force. Yeah, he had the actual tingly lines that's drawn in the comic book.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, that's something that you haven't seen that in any of the live action versions of the movie. Like you always see
Right.
him kind of like it'll kind of like get close up, like zoom in on him, zoom in on his scoops bumps, his hair stands out. You would always see those things, but you didn't get those squiggly lines. And I even from the cartoon series, you still got those squiggly lines. So to see that in live action, it was kind of like them. It was like Marvel was saying, all right, all the things that we weren't able to do in all of these other Spider-Man movies, we're going to do it in this movie.
It's
right
a good nod to the comics, the way they did Into the Spider-Verse well. There was also, I think I remember from the old Spider-Man's, a good moment where Toby's face was half hidden and, half Spider and half Peter Parker.
Yes.
Was another like with the wavy lines coming out with the spider sense moment. So what'd you think, Larry? His astral form less body can play dodgeball.
Yeah, I think that is part of his superpower. That's part of his Spidey-ness that he has. I mean, the way that his spider sense works and the way that his enhanced abilities are all very unconscious. So it makes sense that even if his conscious self is removed, he still has this connection with his physical form because that subconscious controls his physical form. So it made sense to me, and I thought it was so cool because how many times did you see that in the trailers? 100 times you see that scene and you're like, okay, let's see it again.
No biggie.
But they did something different with it, like they did something different with Doc Ock.
Right.
How that was a very short-lived attack scene, and you didn't see that coming.
Right. Yep. Again, not divisive. Great storytelling. They just really charged through this thing. I can't wait to see it again. So I believe this is where we go to the Mirrorverse, right? We have Spidey and Doctor Strange fighting over this box through the Mirrorverse, and Peter out maths him.
I thought that was because he was tying it back to when Doctor Strange was talking about the calculus of the universe, and the great equation. And Peter's like, this is just geometry. I'm great at geometry. And boom.
Got it.
Tied him up.
Beats him with simple math. I loved it.
Yes. Loved it. It just showed that like Doctor Strange is, even though he is the Sorcerer Supreme, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme yet. He still has a lot to learn.
Yeah. He's not Mathematician Supreme.
Exactly.
We got to move the plot along. So
yes, well, we had to take Doctor Strange out of the movie too.
Yes,
keep that in mind. This is not an MCU movie; it's a Sony movie, and it's not Doctor Strange. It's Spider-Man. So we have to separate him from the plot. We need to get him off the screen.
Yeah.
And how do we do that? Because he's in the mirror universe. We take the sling ring, and now he's trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just so much. It's so much.
Right.
Where do you guys want to go next? Because they do the cure thing. There's not much going on there. That's where William Dafoe does the little switch. We kind of already
I'm a bit of a scientist myself.
Let's just maybe jump to the Statue of Liberty, right? Because they meet up on the Statue of Liberty. It's being remodeled to carry a shield.
A shield.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a good nod to Captain America's heroic,
They've been tying that together a lot between Hawkeye and this movie with the Rogers, Broadway musical and stuff like that. And even they had little murmurs on the radio about people talking about, how do you feel about the new remodeling of the Statue of Liberty with the cap shield? Like, oh, you leave it the way it is, and then other people is like, well, the shield is a symbol of freedom in America, but you also have to remember, like, this is also after Captain America and Falcon, where the U.S. agent had the shield and what he did overseas as well. So there's a lot of controversy behind that, and not a lot of people is really talking about it, but it's definitely controversial what they're doing.
I wanted to turn the subtitles on in the theater.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, what are they saying? Because I needed some exposition. You don't always want exposition in a movie, but I needed some. Because I'm like, explain what the hell this Statue of Liberty thing is all about. Because otherwise, it's just this weird thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that it happened, and it gets wrecked. At the end, it's since we're on that thread, they have a big fight. It's an excellent three Spideys versus 5 guys fight, and the shield comes down eventually. They cure a couple of those bad guys. We get a nice redemption arc for Garfield saving MJ.
Oh God!
Another beautiful.
That was pulling right here, man. That was like,
yeah. Everybody in the movie theaters were just like cheering, like applause, like, oh, he finally get. And even Andrew Garfield's an incredible actor.
Yeah,
like, his face was just telling the story. Like, I couldn't save mine, but I was able to save his.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, oh.
And that whole little side thing where they're like, "You are amazing." No, you are amazing.
like
that was great.
I say this all the time. Like, out of all the Spider-Man movies, the one scene that has gripped me so tight is from Andrew Garfield when he was reaching out for Gwen Stacy and his webs would open up as hands, extensions of his hands to try to grab her. That scene was perfect, beautifully shot, and just seeing that, it crushed me in the movie theaters. Like, I literally was like slumped in my seat, like I'm finished with this movie. I don't care for this movie anymore, because it was such a passionate scene, and you don't see that a lot in comic book movies.
Right.
But for them to like retell that story and even show Peter trying to get her, and then he gets sideswiped, and it's like, all right, well, I mean, she's not gonna die. But then Andrew was like, I got this, and he didn't send his webs out. He literally had to grab her.
Oh yeah, because he's probably been reliving that moment.
Yes.
How can I do this
from then until now?
Uh-huh.
And he does it different, and he makes sure that he catches her. And he jumps
perfect.
Different. Everything.
Yeah, perfect.
He got his second chance.
And that was the whole thing about this movie, second chances. That was their underlining tone with all the heroes, all the villains. This is their second chance to do it. Like, Tobey Maguire, Peter, he wanted to heal the Goblin. This was his chance to do it.
Yeah.
So
some people thought they would bring more characters back into this show. Debunking theories. I don't know how you would bring Emma Stone back for Gwen, but they saved Zendaya, and we'll get MJ in a different form. I think
I was half expecting to see Tom Holland run across some little redhead at the very end.
But they kind of put that theory to bed, because like MJ's last name is Watson.
Yes.
So they kind of put that to bed, but
I think
they still could.
But they could reintroduce a different Gwen, right?
They could.
So
they could.
But Haley Steinfeld.
I was first, and I think this was based off a Lego set. I was expecting the Vulture, even though he's from Tom Holland's world. Where's the set? There's a Vulture. There's a Vulture set.
Michael Keaton. Where's Vulture? I thought the Sinister Six. That was another, like, just shy of perfect moment for me. I talked about on Corey's show.
Here it is. Here it comes.
They didn't do the Sinister Six. They did the Sinister Five. Just get one more in there
and make it 6.
If you want to debate, Venom appeared, but he stayed in Mexico. I don't count that,
And
he's not really a Sinister Six level character.
No, you're right. And because when they were theorizing that Venom would be in it, I was like, but he's not going to be in that group. It's going to be something on the side. But
Yeah.
apparently, Eddie Brock doesn't wipe, and he left something behind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good way
there's
to
your
put
end
it.
credit scene. What else? What else you guys want to talk about?
I mean, I really like the final ending to the fight, where it's Peter and the Goblin, and it's just them two.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Peter was literally ready to end the Goblin, like he was ready to end him. And all that pain, all that anger, all that rage that he was feeling, he was ready to let loose on him. And then Tobey Maguire Peter stops him from committing this crime and ending him. And even then, he still gets stabbed in the back.
Yeah, and he doesn't say a word. He just looks at him.
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't go down this road."
Yeah.
You mirrored, Iron Man a lot. When Cap and the Shield and almost
struggle.
I mean, I guess Cap, almost breaking Iron Man's face, but man,
yeah, and they're sitting in the Shield. I thought there was a
sitting in the Shield. So
all that symmetry. Yeah, that's insane. It's crazy.
All wrapped together.
All of it, like the beginning, the first Homecoming was all wrapped with Iron Man. A little bit of that was taking place in Far From Home. Little fading out of the Iron Man's shadow a little bit because Iron Man's dead and everything. And then this movie was all about Captain America. So even then, the two different ideologies of these two heroes are still being battled within Spider-Man. And Spider-Man was introduced in Captain America Civil War during those two guys' ideological battle. So if you look at the entire picture, like Marvel just like their view of bringing everything together is just so sublime. It's crazy.
All right. Let's talk about the reboot, because the big milestone of this miniseries, if you will, is that Doctor Strange does correct the spell by erasing the knowledge of Peter Parker being Spider-Man from everyone's memory, and that in turn also sends these characters back to their multiverse. I'm okay with that, but we need to theorize, right? How much do they remember of Spider-Man without him being Peter? I think that there can still be an existed, knowledge of him being a part of Civil War, him being a part of Infinity War, but not his identity.
Right. Yeah, I mean, wow, the implications that stretch backwards, man, it'll break your head.
Because the other thing, and I see Corey's frozen, but no,
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh yeah,
he's moving again.
They could have erased the knowledge of Spider-Man altogether, right? And they're hinting at a reboot that Spidey's still out there. He's still J.K. Simmons as Jameson still's we hate this menace. Who is he? At the end of the show. So Spider-Man exists, but they don't know he's Peter.
Right.
And I don't know where they're going to take that, other than it's a clean slate.
Well, yeah, I think they put a nice bow on it. I think they were able to do that, and they put a bow on Ned and MJ, and it's up to Peter if he wants to pull that bow apart again. But he does have his fresh start, which not the greatest plot for this story. I mean, it's like, oh yeah, Peter says it was just really unfair that his friends didn't get into MIT. So let's break the fabric of space-time. It's that's kind of
I know.
It's not like he's trying to bring someone back to life. It's just, it's just unfair, darn it.
I felt like the very end of the movie was kind of our signal that this trilogy is done and we're going into a new set, because he creates his own suit. And that was the big criticism that, man, this Spider-Man has too much Iron Man tech. You know,
yeah, it's a big criticism, especially from Doc Samson.
But
he's not going to have, unfortunately, he's not going to have those Stark Industries funds anymore.
Exactly.
Right?
So I feel as though we're finally going to get our first like Spider-Man movie. And I mentioned this before in previous streams. If you look at all of Spider-Man, all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movie posters, he is entangled with other heroes in every poster. So there's not one poster that he is like, it's just him. He's always entangled with other heroes in his poster because that's him in this universe. He's part of the Avengers universe. Now this movie, he's in his classic garments. He's in his classic Spider-Man outfit, and he's swinging through the city, and he doesn't have any of those other things attached to him anymore. I feel as though the next movie that we get with Tom Holland as Spider-Man, that's going to be his movie, Spider-Man alone on the cover. And this is like our first real Spider-Man type of movie.
I'd love if they got to stop with the home thing.
Yeah, I think that's done. I think that's done.
I think a great title would just be maybe it's too long, but they could just say Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it could be or the Spectacular.
I love him going into his apartment at the end, going into his new apartment because this Spider-Man, Tom Holland, he didn't live in New York yet. He was still in Queens. I mean, he was still going to school. Now he's having to take his GED because you know his
probably couldn't graduate.
That all got screwed up, you know, and he didn't get to graduate, and so he's broke. And his apartment actually reminded me of the comic books.
Yes,
because he was always dirt poor, you know, and he was always having this struggle with trying to hold a job, selling photographs, and being a superhero, you know. And so that was a great homage to the comics, I thought, and a new beginning for him in this. Now I'm living in New York. I'm not a high school student anymore, and so I thought it was a great way to begin the new chapter or tease the new chapter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And
well, I wonder if his landlord's going to be this Russian guy.
I was hoping that too.
Right.
Just draw another character back like J.K. Simmons. So we can spoil everything. We'll just mention, I don't know that I want to get into any theorized moments about the end credit scene, but to make sure we cover everything, I think mentioning that if you see Spider-Man, you should definitely watch the mid-credit scene. And if you want to leave, I want to say you probably could leave and not watch the end credit scene because it's basically a trailer for Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness. So I'm guessing because maybe the Marvel Sony deal, like they're like, you can have this for your end credit scene, but you know, we're going to show it as a trailer pretty much. Or maybe they didn't even tell them that. Like, here's your scene. It's a whole bunch about Doctor Strange. And then next week or a week two from now, we'll be able to watch that trailer on YouTube, which was the WandaVision, Doctor Strange, and a couple of cool moments. Did you have anything you wanted to point out? We can't leave what if scenarios out of that discussion, Larry.
Right?
I was just about to say, like, I was in the theaters, like, yelling out, like, if you're not watching What If, you need to watch that episode with Doctor Strange, because this is literally pulling from that and using it, because even the city kind of like inking away a little bit. You saw that, you caught that, you saw the squid monster, you caught that. You then see the Supreme Doctor Strange version of himself, like, and I feel as though that's not even the whole story of this movie. I feel like that's a small part. Yeah.
Usually the trailers, because I'm going to call this an end credit trailer, are just the first quarter of the movie or so. What do you think, Barry?
I was actually very happy to see a lot of those trailers, the No Way Home trailer moments, just ticking right off in the beginning of the movie. I love that.
Yep.
Because I'm like, I don't want to have already seen the movie in the trailer, and I loved that all the suppositions you make about stuff you see in the trailer, they're just like, nope, Doc Ock isn't a threat,
Yep.
and so on.
Got into a great movie. All right. Well, if you're looking for more spoiler talk, go check out Corey's channel. That comic show is that the channel, Corey?
That's the name of the channel. That comic show.
That comic show is hosted by Corey and some friends, and we did a good job just over an hour ago of diving into some other pros and cons that I didn't want to repeat too much on this show. Appreciate you being here, Corey. I hope all is well with you and little Corey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything's going great. Everything's going great. He's a big bundle of joy. So hopefully he's getting immersed into this comic book world, but I still feel as though that he's going to be a DC fan just to troll with me, and I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with it. And it'd be good to have good discussions with my son. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, anytime you want to come back, we're all in that stream, and I appreciate the invite to your show.
I wish I could have made it. I was in the middle of Costco getting stuff for dinner.
All good.
We can't make it to all the streams, but I appreciate you being kind of a co-host for me, Larry. You're super reliable, just like Doc Sampson. I'll give him a shout out. He was on Good Morning Brick World with Brick Hive, so good luck with him. Maybe co-hosting the other Lego community over there in the morning on Sundays. And do you have any shout outs or anything you want to mention? You're maybe going to be on Friday Night Bricks, or you got a show coming up?
Are we doing Christmas Eve Friday Night Bricks?
I think Reed's going to, but I might have other plans.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing Christmas stuff, so he might be doing it by himself.
All right. Well,
maybe he'll bring his mom on camera. Who knows?
You're right. Maybe him and some ice cream. So, all right, we'll leave it at that. I want to thank our chat. Also, we were up to 10 or so people in the live chat. Thank you so much, Doc, Brickman, Mosaics, Brick Babe, Iceberg was here. Get the Brick. We had some great conversations with the chat. Not too much. Mike, the comic consultant, I'll throw him a bone too. If you're looking for comics, he's on Facebook with a really cool auction every Tuesday night. And Chef T was here, Dude Jude, of course. It was a good show. Thanks again, panel. Almost 2 hours covering 2 shows. We tried to do a movie and a show before, and it was hard to get everybody up to speed. But we know who the deep dive comic fans are now.
We're real sickos.
Yeah. We're gonna so sick. We're gonna see it twice.
This week.
Let me know. Yeah, if you want to talk, we'll definitely have a finale of Hawkeye. Let's just leave it at that, and then we can go from there. You guys take care. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year.
Back at you, man.
After you.